It's the Vicki McKenna Show. So about a month and a half or so ago, I received a surprise medical bill for $2,600. By the way, for two services that are mandatory coverage under Obamacare, I got a surprise medical bill for $2,600. And it led me down a rabbit hole that made me realize that the health system I use, which is a monopoly, charges different prices for the exact same procedure. In my case, it was two diagnostic tests. For the exact same tests, charges two different prices that are wildly, wildly different. I'm talking wildly different. For instance, my mammogram, which I was billed about $1,900, I'm sorry, $2,100 for, is actually a cash price of $450. And another scan that I had, which was ordinarily about a $700 scan, was billed to me at $1,700. So what's going on here? And the answer is, despite federal regulation, despite laws that have been passed, we don't have price transparency and we don't have fair pricing. Ilaria Santangelo is standing by on the Middleton Ford hotline to talk about this. She is with an organization dedicated to price transparency, dedicated to patients' rights, and dedicated to imposing penalties for people who violate the law. It's Patient Rights Advocate, or PRA. What can you walk people through why it's possible that I could see two charges that are totally and wildly different, one significantly higher than another one for the exact same procedure at the exact same hospital?
Right, exactly. And thank you for having me today, Vicki.
My pleasure.
And thank you for sharing your story. And I think this is the grim reality of the situation, right? When hospitals don't show their prices up front, they can charge you whatever you want, whatever they want, right? And then you're forced to pay with a blank check like you were. We found that hospital prices vary up to 40 times for the same service in the same hospital, or over 460 times for the same service across hospitals. With price variation that large, when something can be $600 or over $20,000,
yes,
doesn't it just seem kind of arbitrary at that point?
It is arbitrary.
Why is the price discrepancy that large? Because they can. Because they don't have to show their prices up front.
And by the way, it is my insurance policy that's being charged this exceedingly high amount for a procedure that cash would have cost me $450. Meanwhile, my copay is significantly higher than if I paid out in cash. Nobody told me that. By the way, my medical estimate was $0 for these two particular tests. And I just had last week or so, I had a colonoscopy. Guess what? I didn't get an estimate for the anesthesiologist. I didn't get an estimate for the laboratory work. None of that came in my estimate. So again, there's a price transparency rule that President Trump signed. It's been 4.5 years now in effect, and it's still not happening because there is never accountability for this. And that's what makes me mad. Something you talked about in your report, the PRA report, the Patient Rights Advocate report. All hospitals are supposed to have a downloadable price list. Well, when I go to my system, Ilaria, and I download the price list, it's an unreadable ASCII file. It's unreadable. It's in computer code. This gigantic jumble of characters that pops up. I don't have a program that can read it.
Exactly. So let's break all this down. President Trump got this done in his first term. He, reaffirmed his commitment to price transparency back in January by requiring hospitals to post real prices and not estimates, which we all know don't work. I urge all of your listeners to go to their hospital website and try to use the price estimator tool. They are going to have to check a box that says, I agree this isn't going to be the final price. It doesn't include anesthesiology, radiology, facility, professional fees, right? Which is where those surprise bills are just going to hit you like a truck, right? But he reaffirmed his commitment to price transparency, cleaning up that crazy pricing file that you tried to download that you could not download, right? And what I want to also tell all your listeners is go to our website, patientrightsadvocate.org. We created a database of every hospital pricing file in the country. And to make it easier, we converted it so it can be opened up on a regular person's computer like you or like myself.
Yeah, see, that's the frustrating thing is that why should it be patientrightsadvocate.org's responsibility to do what the law says the healthcare systems are supposed to do? You found that 43% of hospitals in 2020, I think you were looking at 2024, 43% of hospitals are posting fewer prices now than they did last year. You have 75% posting algorithms that require contract experts to interpret them on how to figure out what your price is going to be, and 50% posting algorithms that you say are, quote, unquantifiable due to ambiguity or missing information. So even the contract experts couldn't figure them out.
Exactly. And let me be clear. Hospitals never wanted price transparency in the first place. When President Trump got this done, they sued to keep their prices hidden. Thank God we won in the courts and patients have the right to know prices up front. Unfortunately, the last administration rolled back our right to see actual prices and instead these uncomputable, unquantifiable algorithms, and instead giving us estimates instead of actual dollars and cents prices, which is what this report analyzes. It looked at the rollbacks, and we did find almost half of the hospitals reviewed are posting fewer prices because they can. They're taking advantage of being allowed to post non-pricing information instead of clear, upfront, accessible prices. And when consumers have access to upfront prices, they're going to be able to shop for the best quality of care at prices they know they can afford. And I'll give you a personal example. I needed an MRI on my back. It was December. So my deductible, I have a high deductible plan, reset in January, right? I am an informed consumer. I know how to shop. I went on my hospital's website and found that I could get an MRI for $700 or $7,000, going through my insurance plan, or I could travel 45 minutes to a hospital in Rhode Island and pay $400 for the same MRI. I was able to be an informed consumer because I had access to dollars and cents prices, thanks to President Trump, and I could drive 40 minutes and save thousands of dollars, right?
Yes, I had a similar experience where putting an MRI through an insurance processing, it was almost $5,000 for the procedure. My copay was certainly less than that. The actual price was $750. But $5,000 was what. So you wonder why your insurance is high. You wonder why you're in these massive deductibles. This thank you Obamacare. Now you have people like my friend who has an $8,000 yearly deductible. These gigantic deductibles. You wonder why all of this is taking place, and you're trying to be an informed shopper. And good luck. Good luck. By the way, the second test that I had, it does not exist in a cash price form on my health system's website. You cannot find it. I had to go back because I had this test before, and I had to go back and look at the cash price I had paid in the past because it's the first time I'd actually submitted it through my insurance. By the way, both again covered under Obamacare. That's the only way I can know what the price is, and the price went up $200 year to year. So I just added an extra $200 to estimate what the new price would be. This is bananas.
Right.
It's bananas.
It's bananas.
People are tired
Americans
of it.
have this right now, Vicki, though. We have this right. We have to go to our hospitals, start demanding access to prices up front. And when they give us an algorithm, that's not good enough. We deserve to see the actual price so we can shop for the best quality of care at prices we know we can afford. We shouldn't have to choose between our health and our wealth. Medical debt is a leading cause of bankruptcy. We have 100 million Americans in medical debt. And guess what? Because of that, over 1/3 of Americans are delaying care due to the fear of the unknown costs. They don't want to be stuck with bills they can't afford. They don't want their wages garnished because of a hospital bill or liens put on their homes, which hospitals are predatorily suing patients for medical debt they never got the price for up front to begin with. And then we have people questioning, we spend the most on healthcare out of any other developed nation, yet we're dying sicker, we're poorer, and we have worse health outcomes.
I agree. It's insane. We
can't shop for care.
We spend more than everybody. You would think that the outcomes would be better, but we spend more because of government. We spend more because of lobbyists. We don't spend more because we've got, newer, better tech or more smarter doctors or anything like that, or better efficient systems. That's not why we're spending more.
Exactly.
And we haven't even begun on just insurance. This is just hospital pricing. We're just talking
Exactly.
in this report,
and I want to be
specifically
clear
about hospitals.
Exactly. And I just want to make this very clear. We love our doctors. We need our nurses. It is the big business of healthcare that is hiding prices, that is not allowing us to shop, that is saying, oh, we can't give you the price up front because it's variable, right? Or the hospitals that are saying, we can't show you prices because all of our rural hospitals are going to go out of business. But guess what? Over 60% of rural hospitals in our country are now owned by health systems, right? And rural hospitals actually use price transparency as a competitive advantage because people like me, people like you are going to drive the extra hour to save thousands of dollars.
And you shouldn't have to, but that's exactly what you're going to do. They don't want price transparency because they don't want price competition, because people like us will, in fact, drive an extra couple of miles to get something thousands of dollars cheaper. My favorite example you give in this report is a cervical spinal fusion. The low price was $650. This is the same hospital. The high price was $26,000. $26,650. How is that even possible?
How does that happen? Exactly.
So what does it take?
And this is what price transparency reveals. It reveals the wide price variation so we know what a fair market price is, so we can choose where we put our healthcare dollars. We can go to the high-priced hospital, or the lower-priced hospital. It allows us to shop for the best quality of care at prices we know we can afford when we can see prices up front.
96% of people, this is like unheard of. 96% of people agree that you should have complete and total price transparent. 96%. When do you get 96% of people to agree on ever? I don't know.
It's unheard of.
Like, who the heck are the 4%? They're the people who run the health systems or something.
Exactly,
like that.
exactly. It's the hospitals and insurance companies that want to keep their prices hidden. But what people can do is they can go to our website, patientrightsadvocate.org. They can get involved. If you have a story where you were overcharged by a hospital, write to us. We'll help you fight your bill. We have shopping tools that we're currently creating that will allow patients to type in a CPT code or an item or service that they might need, and it'll help regurgitate a price for them so they don't have to go into these machine-readable files. Or if you do want to go into these machine-readable files, because real prices provide remedy and recourse to fight surprise medical bills, we have downloaded that file for you. So that's patientrightsadvocate.org. Get involved, go to your hospital, don't accept an estimate because estimates do not work. They are not accountable pricing, and they often end up thousands or tens of thousands of dollars more than quoted.
Right on. I've got to say, whoever figures this out, whoever figures out how to force price transparency, whoever figures out how to stop the scam, the health scam that's going on in this country, whichever party figures that out, and it sure as heck wasn't Obamacare, you guys, you're going to win. You will win.
Collectively, we're going to do it together. As the American people, just keep going. We just have to keep demanding prices. It's now our right. Everyone needs to know that.
Research director for patientsrightsadvocate.org is Ilaria Santangelo. I hope I said your name right, Ilaria. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Vicki. Have a good one.
Good to have you. And please check that out. Again, patientrightsadvocate.org. We'll be right back.